Hey guys, welcome to my channel if you're new, or welcome back if you're not. So for today's video I have a full face of L'Oreal. I got a request last week in one of the comments to do a full face of L'Oreal products, so that's what we're doing today. So some of these products I had already and some of them were brand new, first time opening them and using them. I just got some of them today. So it was nice to try out some new products. So two things. One is that today I'm filming just with my ring light and natural lighting. So there is kind of a shift in the lighting from the start of the video to the end. And the other thing is that when I started filming there was a lot of noise outside. There were people using machinery and stuff somewhere nearby. So for the application portion of the video it will be a voiceover, but then we'll come back and I'll talk through kind of some of my thoughts on the products. So without any further ado, if you'd like to see how to get this look using all L'Oreal products, then just keep watching. So to start off, because I don't have an eye base, I'm going to be using the lightest shade from the Infallible Total Cover Concealer palette, and I'm taking that on a fluffy synthetic brush. This is one that I got from a brush set on Wish. Then I'm taking a blending style brush and I'm going into the palette Nude and taking this first lightest shade, and I'm buffing that all over the eye to set that concealer. Then I'm taking the lightest brown, kind of a beigey brown, and using that as a transition shade, so buffing that over my crease. Then I'm taking this kind of medium warm brown and I'm buffing that more into the crease as an actual crease shade, blending it up into that lighter brown. Then I'm switching to a pinched crease style brush and I'm buffing that same brown under the eye. Then I'm going to take the bronzy shade, I'm going to use that on the flat of the that same kind of crease brush and apply that to the lid. Then I'm taking the darkest brown in the palette and I'm going back to that first blending brush I was using and I'm popping that into my outer V, so kind of going from the corner of the eye onto the lid and also into the corner of the crease. Then I'm moving to the black and going back to the pinched crease style brush and applying that again to the outer V just to deepen that and kind of smoke it out more. For my liner I'm taking the Super Liner Mathematic and applying that into my lower waterline and top lash line. And then I'm taking an angle brush and that same black from the palette and I'm running that over the liner on the top lash line and on the lower lash line just to intensify it and smoke it out. And then here I just went back in with that bronze shade on my finger to try and intensify that a little bit. I think it brought back some of the shimmer that I had lost through blending, but it didn't really make it overly intense either. Then finally for the eyes I'm taking this light yellowy gold shade on a little bullet style brush and just popping that into my inner corner. Then I'm just curling my lashes and I'll be applying mascara. The mascara I'm using is the L'Oreal Paradise Ecstatic Mascara. So then onto the base, I'm taking the Infallible Mattifying Primer and this is what it looks like. And I'm using that on a round kabuki style brush. This one again is one from a brush set from Wish. I'm just buffing that all over. Then I'm going back to the Infallible Concealer palette and I'm actually going to take the green on a little flat style concealer brush. Again, this is bought off Wish, and just applying that to my blemishes, especially that one on my cheek which was bugging me so much. It was so red and so annoying, so I was hoping that this would kind of calm all that redness down. And then I just used my foundation brush to kind of just pat over and blend that in. So for foundation, I did already own these three ones from L'Oreal, but I decided to grab the Total Cover foundation. This is what it looks like. It's quite thick, and I was mixing two shades here. I'll have them listed on my blog as usual. Then again, going back to the Infallible Concealer palette, I'm taking this middle shade and popping that under my eye just over any dark circles. Next, I'm using the Paradise Pomade, and I started by using the brush that comes in the tip of it. So I'm just using that to underline my brows, but that was a little bit too thick of a brush for me, so I switched over to my Inglot 31T just to give me a sharper edge for outlining, and then I did switch back to the brush that comes with the product for filling in the body of the brow because it was thick enough to do that. So then I started to use the True Match powder and started powdering my face, but then realised I was powdering way too early and decided to rewind and do my concealer. So because I was using the concealer from the palette as more of as a corrector, I wanted to use something that was more brightening. I could have done with a shade lighter, but I just went in with this anyway, and you'll see that I found that it really kind of stung, not sting or not burn, but like tingled my eyes. So that was weird when it went on, but once it blended out it was fine. Then I'm taking the Infallible Sculpt Contouring Palette in Light, and I'm just using the contour shade to contour my nose, going back to that flat concealer style brush, and then patting it out with a fluffier brush. So now I can go in and powder with the True Match powder. I'm using the Sedona Lace FB03, just a tulip shaped powder brush, to pat that on all over. Next, I'm taking the Glam Bronze in the shade 102, and first I'm going in with that bronzer and using it to bronze up. It's a little bit too warm to completely contour with, but I kind of used it as a 2-in-1. And then I went in with the highlight, and I forgot to show the brush, but it's the Morphe M501 brush. Next, I have Le Blush in the shade Rosewood, and I'm just popping that onto the apples of the cheeks and blending backwards, and this was nice and pigmented, so I only needed a little bit. Now, the one L'Oreal product that I did forget to buy was a lip liner, so I'm just popping on a collection lip liner just to outline so that I'll keep my lines neat for the lip colour. So I'm taking the Lip Paint Matte in the shade Nude on Fleek and popping that all over the lip. So this is my full face of L'Oreal products, but I did decide to just top it off with some lashes. So that is the finished look. I just added some lashes because L'Oreal don't do lashes. These ones are from Azzurrido, and they are in the style Irresistible, because I didn't want to add something that was too much and to kind of take over the look. I want it to be more about the L'Oreal products, but it just finishes it off nicely, and threw in some earrings. So because this is a brand focus, I thought I'd give you just a little quick overview of my thoughts of these products. So I'll just try and run through them in the order that I used them. So starting with the eyeshadow palette, the La Palette Nude in 02 Beige. Not blown away by it, to be honest. It takes a fair bit of building up to get a good kind of payoff, even in some of the browns that I was expecting a little bit more depth to them. It definitely needed like the black to kind of actually get some smokiness, and again that you had to kind of build up. So however, they're not like totally powdery and chalky. There is colour there, and they are nice and smooth, and they do blend well. It's just that they take some layering. So not my favourite, but a really nice shade range for like everyday makeup. And if you like your everyday makeup to be not too intense, then this could be like a really good one for you. The liner is another one that I don't like. It's just there's again not enough payoff for me. It really had to be layered up. In the waterline I went over a few times and it's still just kind of like a wash of grey. And same for the lash lines, it needed that black shadow over the top. So definitely not into this liner. This one is the Super Liner Matte. For the base, I had the Infallible Mattifying Primer. I think this is one I'd have to try out a little bit more with foundations that I'm more familiar with and stuff. Right off the bat, I didn't see anything totally mattifying, so it definitely didn't like wow me instantly or anything. But yeah, I'd have to kind of play around with that one a little bit more. For foundation, I was using the Infallible Total Cover, and I was just mixing two shades. When this launched, and there were a lot of like reviews on YouTube and stuff, I heard a lot about the coverage of it, so I was really excited to try this because I do like my other L'Oreal foundations, but I feel like the coverage is kind of in the middle. It's kind of just a medium, and generally I like something that I can get full coverage with. And on the back of this, it says that the coverage is high and the finish is matte. So would I agree with those? The coverage, when I first swiped it on, I think it's because it's quite thick. When I first swiped it on, it looked like it was going to be high coverage, and then I buffed it out and it was like high medium. So it was high coverage. It's just I don't think I could classify it as completely full, but it is buildable up to like a low full. So if you're like me and you like a full coverage, it's definitely doable with a second layer. And for that second layer, I definitely had to like pat it in rather than buffing it to keep the coverage there. And then in terms of finish, I was kind of disappointed with the finish of it. I didn't find it mattifying at all. It was quite dewy, and then I left it alone while I did my brows, thinking that it would set down, but it actually just got dewier. I guess as my oils came through maybe, but it's not one that I would have classified as matte, and that was with the mattifying primer underneath. So either this isn't matte, or this is a poor mattifying primer, or they just weren't mattifying enough for my skin. Even now I'm starting to see some, I won't say shine coming through, but kind of a sheen, even though I did powder pretty heavily with the powder, which we'll get to in a second. So now that it has had a chance to kind of sit and settle on my skin, it's going to kind of... The mascara is the Lash Paradise mascara, and I've had this for a while. It wasn't a new product for me, and I do like it a lot. Whenever I talk about mascaras, I always say that I kind of have crap mascaras, so there's very little that a product can do for them. But at the moment, the two that I am really liking a lot are this L'Oreal Paradise and the Too Faced Better Than Sex. The waterproof is the one that I have. So I already knew I liked that one. The Total Cover palette is one that wasn't new for me. Again, I had it for a while, but it was one that I just didn't really reach for. Every now and then I'd kind of dip into it here and there. But because I generally do like a full coverage foundation, I don't generally like kind of conceal on my face and like spot conceal and stuff. I just use like a brightening under eye concealer. So I don't tend to reach for these kind of like cream pans. But I actually liked it a lot. I really like this shade, which I have used a couple of times before as like an under eye corrector. There is good coverage in it, and it's a nice shade for me to like cancel out any darkness. And I thought using the little bit of green on my blemishes and redness definitely helped before I did my base. So that was good, but it just depends on whether you use that kind of product or not. I just don't tend to reach for these kinds of products anyway. The True Match Concealer, this is in the shade 2RC Rose Vanilla. I think shade-wise I could have done with something a little bit lighter, but it's a nice option to have when I don't want something overly highlighting, just something close to my foundation. Wasn't totally blown away by it. Coverage is kind of okay. It wasn't like full and flawless, and when I initially put it on, it was fine once it was like sitting there for a bit and once I blended it out. But when I initially put it on, it like made my eyes like not burn but like tingle, and that's kind of weird. And I have a feeling that I remember when this launched, I have a feeling that there were some reviews on YouTube and stuff where people said the same thing. I'm not sure if it was definitely this concealer, but I think it was, where it made their eyes burn or tingle. But it feels totally fine now, and it looks fine. It's kind of one that I could like take or leave. The Infallible Sculpt Highlighting and Contouring Palette, again, is one that I had for a while. It wasn't new to me, and this is one that I like a lot for the cream contour for nose contouring, because I don't generally contour my nose on like well, definitely not on a day-to-day basis, because I don't wear makeup on a day-to-day basis. But even when I am doing full glam, I'll sometimes do it if I think of it. You know, it's not like totally part of my routine. It's still more of an extra step for me. But I just found with powders, sometimes they wouldn't blend out as nicely as I want, because especially for nose contouring, I think you do need to be a little bit more careful with not being too harsh. So it is one of the few instances that I prefer to use a cream. And I really like this shade because it is so cool toned. For the brows, I have the Paradise pomade, which I actually quite liked. This is in the shade 104 Brunette, and it was really nice and creamy. I think I'll actually prefer it once it dries a little bit more. You know the way some mascaras like are too wet when you first use them and you need them to kind of dry down a little bit. I think I prefer it a little bit more when it's a bit more dry, because it was quite creamy, which in some ways made it easier to like glide on, but in other ways it makes me kind of question the wearability of them, because when I brushed out the top line of my brow, which I've kind of been doing recently, normally I can kind of go in and give it a good few brushes to kind of get it to the level that I want, where there's colour but it's faded, whereas this, as soon as I brushed it, it was kind of coming off, which did give me the result I wanted, just a lot quicker than I expected, because the pomades I'm using at the moment are a lot drier. And I also like that this one comes with a little brush in the tip. It makes it very handy for on the go, and I feel like this is one that I will be throwing in like a quick makeup bag. The True Match powder, I was using it in the shade 3D/3W, golden beige. And I was actually pleasantly surprised with this one. I had kind of struggled to find a coloured powder that I liked, but this is a pretty good shade for me. I think it might have been a little bit light when it first went on, but with powder or with bronzes and everything, it's perfect. What I generally use is the MAC Studio Fix, which is like a really good coverage powder. It's literally a powder foundation and it's really like soft to the touch. This one isn't as soft. It's not totally hard or anything, it's just a little bit harder pressed. And as a result, there's not quite as much coverage, but it is definitely there. And I did powder fairly heavily. I kind of went over a couple of times and I was able to get that coverage up to that full that I really like. And this comes with a puff underneath. Oh, and a mirror. So that's handy for on-the-go touch-ups. So that is a nice find for me because I have an affordable option to the Studio Fix powder that I use regularly. This is the contour and highlight that I use, the Glam Bronze in the shade 102 Brunette Harmony. And I really like this. I talked recently in my weekend away makeup bag video about the sleek duo that I have. That it was one of the few that I have and I really like to have a duo, so it was nice to find another one that I like. These shades are a bit warmer than the sleek one that I was talking about, but I really like it. And the highlight isn't like blinding highlight, but it's definitely buildable and it has a nice kind of golden sparkle to it, so it's nice on warmer undertones. So again, another good find, and again that comes with a little brush underneath. Oh, and another nice mirror underneath as well. The brush though is definitely not one that I'd be using. It's one of these little flat things. The blush is the Le Blush in shade 145 Rosewood, and once again a little mirror and a little brush underneath. And again, this is another nice find. I think I'll be reaching for this more. It's just a really nice warm rosy colour, and that's something that I lean towards an awful lot, the warmer blushes. I think it just kind of helps enhance the bronziness of your makeup. And it's not shimmery either. I hate shimmery blushes. I don't think it's totally matte either. There might be like a soft sheen to it, but there's definitely no sparkle or shimmer. And then finally we have the lip. I did use a lip liner, the Collection Chocolate Liner, which is also affordable because I forgot to get a lip liner when I was getting my L'Oreal products. But this is the Lip Paint Matte and it's in the shade 209 Nude on Fleek. And I really like the shade of this. Again, it's a warmer tone which works with this warm look, and also it's what I kind of lean towards with my skin tone, and it has that nice brown undertone that I like. It's a lot creamier than I was expecting for a matte lip colour. I was wondering if it might set down. It hasn't set down. There's still transfer there, so it's still creamy, but it's just not a glossy finish. So it's one of those ones that it's not going to be as long wearing as something that sets, but it just leans on that kind of matte effect. And I think it actually might have needed to have been kind of almost kind of stirred around with the wand and squeezed a little bit, because when I first applied it, it wasn't watery or anything, but it was quite, like the feel of it was quite balmy and oily almost. So when I did the first coat, I was quite surprised with how it was still kind of shiny and how creamy it was. And I let that settle for a bit, and then I went in with just a light second coat after I kind of squeeze the tube around a bit and kind of mix the wand around. And I think mixing it a little bit more got rid of that kind of slightly oily feeling, but it's still very, very comfortable. So yeah, before we get too long into the video, I'm going to sign off here. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That lets me know that you like this kind of video, and it also helps out my channel an awful lot. And of course, if you want to see more videos from me, you can subscribe to my channel for free if you'd like to. So that's it from me for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.